Pod is powered by Parkinson's UK, the charity that's here to support every Parkinson's journey every step of the way. Wherever you're from, whatever you need, visit parkinsons.org.uk for more information.
Hello there and very warm welcome to Two Parkinsons Apart. I'm Dave, he's Kuhan. Together we've had the dreaded lurgy for 28 years. Kuhan, very special day today. We're out and about, aren't we?
We are out and about in West London, not too far away from our homes, in Chelsea. Chelsea Flower Show, Dave.
Very posh. We've crossed the River Thames.
I think we've crossed the threshold as well. This is very exclusive here, right?
Yeah, well, look around you can see champagne tents.
Yeah, lobster roll.
Lobster roll? How much is a lobster roll
I
here?
don't know.
Not
cheap, I would
I'm
imagine.
not buying you one later.
Yeah, we're here on the roll day as well. We've got to vacate by 3 o'clock because a certain...
King of England's coming.
Yeah, King Charles is attending today with Bex and all that lot, a lot of VIPs. So they want the rough and ready crowd out by then.
This is like the Olympic Games of gardening. You
It's
know,
a big deal, right, Dave?
massive deal, yeah. The
Yeah.
Royal Horticultural Society.
Yeah.
Been going many years, over a century. And it's like it's a who's who of gardening, the gardening world.
It is, and from a Parkinson's perspective, it's a very special year, isn't it?
Because Parkinson's UK have got their own garden, one of the show gardens, which there's only a few of them. And it's
Very,
very exclusive.
yeah,
Very,
a big deal.
yeah, massive deal. So Arit Anderson, who's a famous gardener in England, she does the Gardener's World show on TV, BBC TV.
Yeah,
She designed the garden, and it's meant for, especially for parkies.
it is, and we have an exclusive interview with her. So why don't we just pop down to the garden and see what's going on, Dave?
Let's do that. Cool, we've stumbled across someone looking very smart. Smarter than us.
Smarter than us, that's for sure.
Come just with that, Dave. This is
not
Cool.
saying a word.
Who are you?
Raymond's.
Raymond.
Yeah.
Very nice to meet you, Raymond. Now, you're a Chelsea pensioner.
I am,
obviously.
yes.
The outfit kind of gives it away. I've had a Chelsea Flower Show, but you've also got Parkinson.
Yes,
Oh.
yeah.
13 years, you were telling us.
About 13 years, yeah. I do get embarrassed by going to dining rooms and things,
Oh,
into the mess, into the...
All right, in the hospital?
Yeah.
Because you're carrying stuff, you mean?
Well, sometimes it's hard to cut things, and if passing your teapot and things like that,
Yeah.
you know, the weight of the big teapot. But people they're quite good, they do notice.
And they
And
help
they'll-
you out?
Yeah, without making a scene about it.
Good.
You know, they'll just, would you like a cuppa? You know,
Yeah.
to take that embarrassment away from you.
Because embarrassment's a big thing with this condition, isn't it, unfortunately?
Yes, yeah.
It's nice to see that you've got... Are these fellow pensioners that are helping you out?
Yes, yeah.
Oh, that's nice.
There are still probably about half a dozen of us
Oh,
who've got
really?
it really
Wow.
bad, you know.
Now, you were diagnosed 13 years ago, same as me. I was
Okay.
38, same as you, right?
I wish.
No, you... Can I ask, I'm being rude here, but can I ask, how old were you when you were diagnosed?
So it's 65.
Wow, so you're almost 80 now. Can I say you're looking...
78 next
So-
month.
Not too near. Eh?
2 years is
Hey.
important.
It is. And after 13 years of Parkinson's, may I say you look great? You look and sound great. What's the trick? Is it being out in the outdoors, these gardens, or...
Well, my daughter says it's down here.
Yeah?
Because the oldest says 104 and they don't look it.
Wow. So what is special about this place that's keeping
Well,
you going?
there's always something to do.
Yeah,
As I say, there's 284 of us,
yeah.
14, 16 women.
Right.
But there's all activities, pottery,
Yeah.
there's the walking, cricket, rugby,
Wow.
all that. I do a book club, we have
Yeah.
writing sessions.
That's really
We have-
brilliant.
The singing group is singing in June with Sparks. Because in June we have a week on the Sunday
Yeah.
with pop groups like
Yes.
Scottish Guys, Proclaimers.
Ah, right. Yeah.
They
yeah.
do one
Oh,
night.
you mean the Sparks, the band The Sparks?
Yeah.
Yeah. Number
Yeah.
one song they'll ever have and all that. Yeah.
This house is big enough for the two of us.
Da, 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 da.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh. Raymond, can I ask? You've served, obviously, right?
Yeah, 26 years.
In
Well, I joined in 63. Then in 66, I was sent to Aden, which is now
Yeah.
Yemen. So we did 9 months in Aden. We lost 9 lads on the very last year. But while we were there, we got to go to places like Somalia,
yeah.
went to Ethiopia, met Selassie, King
Oh.
of King, God of God, you know.
Yeah.
and then did Northern Ireland, did
You were there in Northern Ireland as well?
several times, yeah. My wife's buried there, my daughter lives there.
Oh, wow.
But it's a nice country.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can I ask lastly, Raymond, what do you make of the Parkinson's UK garden?
Actually, that's quite interesting.
It is, isn't it?
I like the feeling.
It's nice, isn't it?
The feeling. And plus, it acts as a support for you when you're walking around.
The
But
rail?
yes, but it's very discreet.
It is, isn't it? I can
Where
hear it there as well.
Yeah, if it had been this,
Yes.
it would have just been something to help you.
Yes.
But that is quite
Subtle.
discreet.
Is that
and yet-
going back to the embarrassment thing?
Yeah, and you hadn't rub your fingers in the water, which
Yeah.
is kind of a nice feeling as well.
Refreshing.
You know, yeah.
Yeah.
So I like that.
Raymond, don't be embarrassed about your Parkinson's
Yes.
if you can. Be
Yeah.
Parky and proud like we are.
Lucky and proud,
We
yes.
both got it, and we
Oh, yeah?
we thought, yeah,
We
yeah.
have. We both got it.
Both got it, yeah.
Both got it.
You've had yours 13 years, haven't
13
you?
I've had it
Yeah.
15 years. So.
15?
Yeah, yeah.
Dave used to be on the telly.
It's on the television. Yeah.
Crime Watch.
Yeah, my school was a Borstal.
You're in good company.
Cheers, Raymond. Good to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Thank you.
I'm Paul Jackson Clark. I'm the Director of Fundraising Experience at Parkinson's UK.
Well, we're here at the Chelsea Flower Garden still. And
At last.
at last,
finally.
but typical English weather,
Yeah,
we're holding a brolly and the three of us cowed underneath it.
and it's cold.
And it's cold, yes. But it's May in England, so it is what it is. But it's great to be here. And tell us how this all came about, if you don't mind, Paul.
So this is now 2.5 years almost in the making. 2.5 years ago, Arit Anderson, our designer, we were introduced to Project Giving Back, who are an organisation set up to fund charities to be at Chelsea. And they invited us to apply for funding.
So it means that people's donations to Parkinson's UK aren't being used for this. It's a separate.
No, great shout, Dave. No, absolutely not. Separate funding specifically for the garden and also to help us relocate the garden when we leave Chelsea.
Yeah, what is happening after the event of the Chelsea Flower Show? How did more people get to enjoy the garden?
Yeah, so quick backstory.
Yes.
The garden here at Chelsea has taken the best part of a month to build. We then have 5 days to dismantle it.
Yeah.
It then moves straight from here to the John Radcliffe Hospital in Oxford, Centre of Excellence for Parkinson's, strong links with Oxford University, where we have the Centre for Parkinson's Disease Research. And also within Oxfordshire, like across the UK, but particularly in Oxford, a really big group of active volunteers through the Oxford branch of Parkinson's UK, who are then going to get involved in shifting the garden from here, planting it at Oxford, and then maintaining it in the future. So it's a real community family effort, this one, that's for sure.
So it will live on. It will live on.
It will live
It's
on.
Just exactly what is Project Giving Back?
So Project Giving Back is an organisation that was set up about 5 years ago with the sole intention of enabling charities to have a garden at Chelsea. And often charities who maybe, wouldn't normally be at Chelsea, then maybe not horticultural organisations. We were invited to apply. We did, and we were chosen by Project Giving Back to have a show garden. They have paid the full cost of us being here at Chelsea,
Wonderful.
and they're contributing heavily towards the relocation to Oxford.
Oh, and so Parkinson's, one of how many entered into this?
So
Selection
I
process.
believe that this is the final year for Project Giving Back. I believe that the long list was 60 organisations that applied, and then we went through a very, very rigorous interview and selection process, and we were chosen to be one of the show gardens this year. And it's a real privilege. It's a real privilege, full stop, to be picked by Parkinson's UK, but it's a real privilege to be chosen in their final year of being at Chelsea.
And I guess Arit's been very influential in that whole process, right?
Completely, yes.
Had that connection.
Yeah. I mean, her connection, her family story with her sister Jules with Parkinson's. She's an award-winning writer, broadcaster, gardener, and just her energy and commitment to this has been phenomenal. I mean, absolutely phenomenal.
It's finally here, the garden, after all these years. Amazing.
It's unbelievable, really. Finally, my head is here on Main Avenue. I can't, it's taken nearly 3 years. The first initial conversation was with Gary Shaughnessy, chair of the trustees, and we were at a NGS dinner. And we happened to be sat with Gary and we was talking about he has Parkinson's, my sister has Parkinson's. And one of the trustees from Project Giving Back, she said, well, hello, this sounds like a good idea to do a show garden. And we both looked at each other thinking, really? And then, you know, that idea started and then we spoke to the charity. And in 2024, we did a workshop. Was it 24? Can't remember it all now. Did a workshop with the now called the head gardeners who are
15.
So the gardeners who open for the National Gardener Scheme who have Parkinson's, and it was fantastic. We did the work, and I can't believe fast forward. It feels like slow forward, fast forward all at once.
It's all from a chance encounter.
Yeah,
That with Gary and
and Gary and Alex.
amazing. It feels like for the first time we're old hands in this.
Yeah.
13 years diagnosed, 15 years diagnosed.
Really?
Yeah.
But it feels like for the first time Parkinson's kind of getting on the map, really.
Yeah.
And I think a large part of that is today in your efforts with this garden. It's very personal to you as well, obviously with your sister.
Yeah.
And how's she doing?
She's okay, but I have seen how it has really now progressed for her. I think she went through a time, she had a really good Parkinson's nurse, sort of maybe about year 4, year 5. I think it helped her at that point when she was obviously really kind of getting more symptoms, and the Parkinson's nurse really helped her. And then during COVID, that nurse left and she lived on the Isle of Wight. So, and at that time I saw a real change in Julie, because I think that, you know, as I'm sure you're aware, having a really good Parkinson's nurse, having your medication modified as your changes occur, and I think that didn't do her any favours.
We enjoyed your piece last night on the telly with your sister,
Yeah.
Julie, and
Very emotional.
very emotional.
Yeah, very much.
Yeah.
you said something on that clip on the TV last night where you said it's quite something to be diagnosed with a condition that you know you're not going to get better from. I've never heard it expressed in those terms, and that was really moving for me, actually.
Yeah.
And also just a reminder that it doesn't just affect us with the condition; it affects all those.
That's it. I think that was the thing I found when Julie said that, when we were just sitting on the beach. That's probably the first time she'd even said it to me, let alone it wasn't for a telly moment. And she said, you know, this is a condition that affects all of us, Arit. And I hadn't stopped to think of it like that. I'd always thought that, oh, you know, it's Julie that's the one that's having to live with the condition. And I think because she has had cancer before, so she, you know, she knew that when she had the diagnosis with that there was every chance of treatment that she may get well. Yeah, I think it was the enormity of having a condition that she knew that whatever she did, she couldn't get sort of well from it. And I think probably, I don't know, it'd be interesting to hear from you that when you hear that in that first diagnosis, you have no idea of the trajectory.
No.
I guess.
Everyone's is different, isn't it, as well? Everyone's focus is so different.
Yeah.
So yes, I mean, but there's a lot of questions that even till this day remain unanswered about, you know, when.
Yeah.
And what. But then at the same time, we're still here, still living our best quality of life that we can.
Good. Yeah.
But it's a condition that is unpredictable. It's different for everybody. There's no one size fits all.
I think also the beauty of this garden is that, you know, it highlights lots of different symptoms of Parkinson's.
Yeah.
People just think it's a tremor.
Yes.
You know, and they don't think about the anxiety and the breaking of night and all that. So we've incorporated all these into the garden.
Tell us about some of the symptoms that have made its way into the garden.
Yeah, I will actually, because you're right. People, I think that was the thing. I think, you know, when I was asked, you know, well, what about doing this garden? And I was like, okay, how are we going to do this? Because it could have been done on a doom and gloom. You start like this, you start like that. And we all agreed from the outset, that's not what we want to do. We want to show how gardens and gardening
There's
can
nothing more depressing with Parkinson's than the picture you Google. And it's like, you know, a guy bent over and ends up in a wheelchair. You know, you don't want to see that.
You don't want to see that. So we thought in this garden, we don't want to do that. But what we have got to do is acknowledge the symptoms that may affect gardening. So, okay, so if we were to start at the beginning of this garden, first of all, the path is wider than normally is a Chelsea garden, or that is requested for, so let's say, a disability garden. You can get away with like a sort of a 1.2 metre to get a comfortable wheelchair through it, even 900 millimetres, okay? But we said from the outset, we want it to be wide enough, because it's not just about the wheelchair. It's about being able to walk in space if you have movement disorder, if you have the dyskinesia, that if you have that, so you don't want to feel that you're constricted in space. And like my sister, often she needs to walk beside me and maybe steady herself against me. She didn't want me to feel like I'm crashing against her, you know. So that was really important. And I wanted to make sure as well that it was all based on curves. I took inspiration from the brain and nature and how there's no straight lines. And I've learned that sometimes walking in straight lines and doing sharp left or sharp rights can exacerbate freezing. So that was the layout. I wanted to be curvaceous so that it had that flow to it. So that was one of the things. It had to be a smooth surface because we know that Parkinson's gait and how one walks, shuffle, not necessarily always pick your feet up. So doing reclaimed posh stone, just not going to work because you're going to trip over, and tripping is a hazard. So we wanted to make sure that the surface was smooth. So that was the surface and the layout. Then it was like, okay, so we still need to think about how we can have people walk through the garden who might need to have a little bit of aid, not necessarily, you know, the whole garden with great big handrails that metal and look all a bit ugly. But I was like, well, I've got to make sure that there is something for people to hold on to. Now, combining two symptoms, so the freezing symptom, which I'll come on to, and also the walking gait. What about a hand rill? A hand, play on words, as you can tell, hand rail and a rill, and it's bringing the water up to eye line level so that you can see it, you can touch it, and you can hear it. And that is something with freezing, the condition where you, obviously the brain can't computate and you stop in your tracks. You need some sort of sensory connection, and the water is continually running, so you could maybe tune your eyes into it or touch it or hear it.
The rill is so beautifully smooth as well. You just want to rub your hand along it.
And we had a sweet moment with one of the pensioners, Chelsea pensioners, earlier today. Raymond, wonderful guy. And he pointed out something that didn't occur to me initially, because we were talking about the embarrassment of having this condition.
Yes.
And he said, it's great because it doesn't look like a handrail.
You grab onto it, not feel
subtle. You can grab onto it and not be embarrassed about it.
That's it. Because in the brief, that everybody said, we don't want it to look like a ubiquitous, disability garden with rails and buffers, and we want this garden to be a place that people who have Parkinson's can also bring their family, and everybody feels comfortable in the space without there being big signposts. As you know, the condition, you get tired in between your medication.
Yes.
So multiple seating areas was really important, so that, that there is somewhere to rest again without feeling like, oh God, I've got to sit down. We've got a small seated area that you might just sit one or two of you quietly in the calm border, which is pale greens for a kind of a calmer, quieter area. And then where we're sitting is a seated area that's a little bit more social, a bit bigger, and that would enable a wraparound of really brightly invigorating flowers to energise and to feel the vibrancy of the plants. And there's some plants in here that I've tried where I could to put in from the workshop, so that Barry, for example, has got his big and blousy, so we've got peonies and we've got big roses, and we've got
Barry.
You know Barry. You know what he's like. He's a very flamboyant man. It's not a symptom as such, but having that sensitivity to how one looks into space when you have Parkinson's, which is making sure that there is enough textural differences on the leaf shapes, on the flower shapes. Because obviously, if I'd have made this all very meadow-esque and meadow-like, it makes your brain have to work even harder to distinguish between the shapes. By giving you contrasting shapes, contrasting colours, you can read the border quicker. Your brain can be used somewhere, for other activity.
We spoke to David Plummer last week.
Okay.
Who's one of the head gardeners. Love the title, by the way.
Yes.
Very inclusive, very empowering. And he was telling us about that structure behind you.
Yes.
Explain what that is.
Yes, I will do. Yes. So one of the things that came out of the workshop was the fact that Parkinson's is with you 24 hours a day. And one of the ladies, Chris, said, Arit, I have 8 hours where I have Parkinson's, 8 hours where I feel really good and 8 hours where, you know, I'm obviously asleep or trying to get some sleep. Insomnia, and sleep disorder is quite pertinent with the condition. So we wanted to have a garden where you could use it, if you like, 24 hours a day. And the night shelter, the structure that you can see at the back, is kind of allowing somebody to have that imagination that you can't sleep, you could go somewhere, feel safe. And the palette of plants there are all the whites and the pale blues, because when the sun goes down, those colours are really visible and are much more visible at that time of night. So we're sort of saying, so that if you planted outside your back door, you know, it could be in a container, you know, put in a few paler colours nearer to the house. And if you don't want to wake your wife or your brother or your flatmate up, you know, go and use the garden. And we've lit the garden in such a way that can be used for both people and wildlife sensitive. Not uplighting so that lights hit you in the face, not bright blue light, warm glow light at low level to illuminate pathways, illuminate the borders. And so rather than fight the anxiety of not being able to sleep, go and sit near the garden.
It starts a conversation. That's the beautiful thing about this garden. People will talk about Parkinson's now.
Yeah, we can. Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think you're so right in the fact that this kind of almost, whether it's embarrassment, misunderstanding, you know, my sister, for some years, never said to anybody if she was in the shop slightly sort of like trying to, you know, get her money out and having a moment with a tremor.
Never said the word
She never said to anybody, can you excuse me for a moment? I have Parkinson's. It takes me a minute to gather my thoughts. But now she does, because it's so obvious, and she has to sort of get that person to wait a moment. So I'm so glad that you said that. The whole point of this garden was on an international platform. Let's talk about Parkinson's. Let's talk about the joy of gardens, how gardening can help with Parkinson's. We're sitting here. I hope you're both feeling reasonably rested while I'm chatting to you. You're both looking quite relaxed.
Beautiful, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. What's the feeling for the judging? Are we confident or?
Well, you know, the judging is always one of those things where, you know, you get on with the garden, you're just getting on with it. And then you all of a sudden, when you have to finish, you oh yeah, the judging. So getting a gold medal at Chelsea is not easy. You know, I've been a presenter for some time, and I've seen disappointed garden designers, elated garden designers, gardens that you think should have got a gold, gardens that you didn't understand why it got a gold. The whole judging criteria is based on the brief. What have I delivered? What I said was in my brief. And then it's cross-checked about how well I delivered it against another set of 9 criteria. And for each of the 9 criteria, I can get 4 points. If I got full marks, I'd get 36 points and would be a contender for Best in Show. But that's, you know, excellence on every single level. Excellent plants, excellent construction, excellent spatial awareness. You know, there's this criteria. So I hope we get a good medal, but if I'm honest with you, I did it for you as a community. I didn't do it for me to get a medal.
Well, our community gives you a gold medal.
You'll get our vote. Absolutely. Can I just ask you lastly?
Yeah.
Obviously, you're quite familiar with the condition itself, but has working with those 15 other head gardeners with the condition enlightened you even more about the complexity of the condition, how we're all very different?
Yes. 100%. 100%. I think it's been really good for me working across the community, because I've realised now how those 40 plus symptoms show themselves in so many different ways. I probably thought that everybody had a tremor. No, they don't. I probably thought that everybody may have a sort of a stiffness in how they are. No, they don't. I've learned that people's energy levels work differently. I've learned how some people respond to, you know, quiet. Oh, just absolutely. It's the title of this garden, Parkinson's UK, a garden for every Parkinson's journey, is because every single person has a different experience of the condition, and me understanding that means that I know that my sister Julie, she'll go through another phase of how it's going to be for even within her own journey, let alone compared to somebody else.
thank you so much for your time today.
Thanks for raising awareness, 'cause it means a lot to us.
It really is. It does feel like there's a change in terms of awareness in the getting a bit tickled with it.
It is emotional. It is, and I've cried a lot in a way that has, made me realise that to not have a voice about things, about having not been understood, it's really hard, and literally understood because of how you speak or how one can speak might be that, and to not have a voice where people talk about cancer and they'll talk about, Alzheimer's, or they'll talk about so many other conditions. Yet, do you know what? The amount of people that we've taught. I was at a talk the other day in Devon, and I said it was a gardening talk, and I said I've raced down here because I'm about to. We're starting at Chelsea, but I'm doing it for Parkinson's. Put your hand up if you know somebody who has Parkinson's, and at least 10 to 15% of the people put their hands up. So I think it's more widely out there, but we're not talking about it.
I think we've been overlooked for too long, It's about time we fought back a bit,
Yeah.
Yeah, and numbers are growing.
Parking proud.
Yeah, exactly.
Honestly, I mean, the way that you talk about the condition, the way that you're raising awareness, honestly, don't underestimate what you're achieving here for Parkinson's, because in my lifetime with Parkinson, let's say 13 years, 15 years, I've never seen Parkinson's in the news so much.
No.
As it has been the last few days, right? And will be this week. So thank you.
No,
that is down to you. So thank you very much.
You're more than welcome. Yeah. It's a pleasure. Really, as much as it's hard work and it's emotional, it is a pleasure to think that we just might make a bit of a difference for other people, especially those people that are recently diagnosed. Yeah. I've been told a lot of people in the last few weeks, my friend's just been diagnosed, and I can now signpost them to Parkinson's UK. Yeah. I can encourage them to keep exercising. I encourage them to eat well. All the things I've now learned, which I wish I knew when Julie got first diagnosed. And look at you guys, got podcast going. I love it.
Yeah, thank you so much. Not a gnome in sight.
No gnomes on this garden.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, darling. Thank you.
Thank you, Arit. Really appreciate it. Really do. Thank you so much.
Absolutely welcome.
You've been listening to Two Parkies in a Pod, a Parkinson's podcast with Dave and Kuhan. To get in touch, visit the website twoparkiesinapod.com or send your voice notes or emails to hello@twoparkiesinapod.com.